and welcome back to the KickNPost YouTube channel. Was supposed to have the second video to our Florida Fantasy Football $500 draft and league video out. It was supposed to be the sleeper options, but due to technical difficulties, that kind of fell through. So we came back with a draft reaction, and Otto's back. Otto's back for this one. He's no longer at work, stuck slaving away. He's here to react to how his draft went, how our league mates drafted, which team we liked the
Terrible.
most, what we felt we could have done differently, where we probably slipped up, did we follow, or tips to winning the league or dominating your draft, all that. So we could hop into your reaction on the first 5 rounds because you guys already know mine. So Otto, what were you looking at in these first 5 rounds from your perspective as the draft was going on?
So prior to the draft, I swapped first and second rounds with the 1-4. I had the 1-6. So it was the 1-4 and the 2-7 for the 1-6 and the 2-5. And I ended up taking Derrick Henry, which I obviously that's what I traded up for. I knew what I was getting when I made that trade, which is fine. And then going into the second round, I was targeting another running back, like we have been in every mock draft video that we've made. Excuse me. And I'm looking at Najee, second round. Mauls at the 2-6. And snags him.
Snipe.
Yep. And there I ended up taking Diggs. I kind of regret it. Probably should have taken CEH or even Joe Mixon. I just wasn't too high on Joe Mixon. Josh Jacobs wasn't right at that ADP. And I didn't want to reach any farther down for any other running backs there. So I picked Stephon Diggs for wide receiver upside.
Yeah.
True wide receiver one. So then going to the third round, I'm like, okay, more running backs. Who do I want here? And then James Robinson gets taken right before me, which is probably too high for me anyway. I wouldn't want to spend anything higher than a fourth for James Robinson, but third, with the backs that came off the board already, makes sense. 3-5, good pick. And then, so I'm sitting at the 3-6, and I see George Kittle, and the homer in me said, I want George Kittle, even though you're probably going to get hurt week 3, instead of David Montgomery, who I love so much.
Why are you going in on yourself right now?
So I pick George Kittle, and I move on. And David Montgomery goes to the pick after. Moving to the fourth round, I was like, all right, now's the time that I need a running back. Pick gets around to me. The only other running back other than David Montgomery that got taken was Chris Carson, and that left me Miles Sanders or DeAndre Swift, and I elected for Miles Sanders just because I'm not super high on Detroit's offense, and I do think Miles Sanders is a very viable play. I think I drafted him in one of our mock draft videos prior, and I'm very high on Miles Sanders with Jalen Hurts at under center. So that moves me all the way back into the fifth round, where I get probably a bit of a reach for my, Kareem Hunt here, but I drafted Kareem Hunt in the fifth round just to bolster my holding in running back. So now I have 3 running backs, a wide receiver, and a tight end. Kareem Hunt can put up top 15 numbers if he gets the opportunity, and he's not a starting running back for me. Like, he's not going to start week in and week out anyway, so it's fine. And that is through 5 rounds.
That's how you felt. So it's funny that you echoed a lot of the things I echoed in mine. The Stephon Diggs pick surprised me a bit because I was trying to predict your picks as the draft was going on, and I said right here at the 2-7, Otto's probably going to follow the method and hit running back. So I'm expecting a CEH pick or a Mixon pick. But I don't remember if I predicted you might take a wide receiver one because you did that in our other mock where you got Devontae Adams back here. But when I saw the Stephon Diggs pick, it wasn't too surprising. The Kittle pick, not so much either. I said that that's good in terms of like high-end tight end, and as soon as I saw that happen, I was like, I'm waiting on my tight end because Waller went at the 3-1. So I was like, I'm not drafting the rookie tight end at 4-8, no matter how talented. I like to see them develop a little bit. But we break down the rest of the draft, honestly, and Jamar Chase at the 6'5".
God, hated that pick as
I
well.
was surprised you did that because from the perspective of who was left on the board, you had your boy Ayuk out there.
I don't want. I made this mistake in another single quarterback league that to have two pass catchers from the same team is a big
Okay.
no, especially when we're such a run heavy team anyway.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
elected to stay away from Ayuk. Otherwise, I would have picked Ayuk if I didn't grab Kittle.
Yeah, I was of the same thinking when I took Judy. I was gonna target Sutton, and I was like, I can't take Sutton and Judy. So I kind of agree with your sentiment there of not taking two pass catchers from the same team. But I look at like the options out there past Chase. I mean,
Not big on DJ Moore.
I
Galladay is
hate the
iffy to
Galladay
me.
pick. I hate the Galladay pick a lot, but I mean, I get it. He's possibly the wide receiver one out there, but he's already dealing with injuries.
Yeah, that's I strayed away from him. Um, not big on Judy in the sixth round.
Yeah,
Obviously, you picked him in the seventh round, and you picked DJ Moore right after I picked Jamar Chase.
yeah,
But like I said, I looked at T Higgins as well instead of Jamar Chase. But I feel like Jamar Chase is having a really bad preseason,
yeah,
and like I know like he's obviously a truly talented gift.
yeah. He's a gifted player, and I feel like the preseason's
He's gonna
being
figure it
hyped
out
a little bit.
eventually.
The preseason's being hyped a little bit. The thing with receivers is with so many options. We've said this before. With so many options in Cincinnati, will they force him the targets in year one, or just slowly bring him along, knowing he'll be there for a period of time where you could allow him the space to develop and just kind of keep your situation moving with players who are already at that point. The Bryden Ayuk and T Higgins pick back to back shattered me because everything in me wanted one of those guys at the 7-5. And as the picks were going, I was like, it's a high probability that I get at least one of the two guys. And then they go back to back. And just like that, it's like, man, did I wait a little bit too long on wide receiver? I started to question that a little bit. But I was able to acquire quite a bit of value in the later rounds. But I was still looking at T. Higgins staring me in the face, Deontay Johnson at the 6'2" staring me in the face. Like, those are guys I really wanted on my roster if I was going to wait on wide receiver. But the allure of getting a guy like Lamar Jackson in the fifth round, I couldn't pass it up. I couldn't. I feel like it's quite a positional advantage to get a guy like that late, even in a single quarterback draft. He usually goes a little bit earlier. So I that's one of the things where if I could go back and redo, I'd probably take my boy Deontay Johnson there, or even a Robert Woods there as my wide receiver, and just keep waiting. Because as we'll show probably a little bit soon, the waivers and even the last round of the draft had viable quarterback options, like the last 5 rounds of the draft. And even though I like the positional advantage that Lamar could give you, I would have preferred another high end receiver right there.
Yeah, wide receiver I thought was like obviously you stack up on studs
Yeah.
in the first four rounds, and then you really surprised me with the Lamar pick. I thought you would have started. I either thought you were going to draft a fifth running back because fuck it,
But the thing
but
is, I didn't like any of the running backs left back there to reach for. But what would have happened if I had taken a wide receiver there is Sermon wouldn't have been there at the 7-7. I would have sniped him. But it is what it is. I wanted that L Jack to be my starter because I feel like just the opportunity for him to two rushes on the ground and two passing touchdowns possibly, like that kind of like dichotomy, him possibly getting 100 yards rushing and 200 yards passing. I couldn't give up that opportunity. He's too much of a cheat code. I'm not used to seeing him back there with my strategy.
right. Um, like I said, I'm not too high on DJ Moore either. Um,
I'm a bit
just
worried
because.
about him, but I was like, I like I'm one. I think I even said it in the first 5 rounds about DJ Moore, being in that Carolina Panthers offense. I'm a little bit worried about him and Sam Darnold, and then it came back around like karma that I had to take him at the 6-6, because I looked at the guys and I was like, I was trying to plan out my draft like, okay, I don't think anybody's gonna need a T Higgins or an Ayuk, so I'll be able to get them on the way around, and then possibly Judy on the way around. Like I was projecting too much. I figured guys would start leaving the wide receiver position alone a little bit, and I did not expect Rob's savvy draft either, because a lot of the picks I was looking to make it back around to me, he would take those guys. So that also threw off my strategy a little bit. Like I was like, okay, even if I miss out on like a Higgins and Ayuk, Cooks is gonna have a crazy volume. Cooks gets taken, or like a Deontay Johnson, like I said before, or like a Robert Woods. He was just like, it's like he watched the video and sensed all the things I liked and did it almost. But looking back now, I probably would have made that reach for T Higgins. It just seemed weird to take T Higgins right after Jamar Chase. You know, sometimes you see the names next to each other and you're like, I could get him around later. Well, I couldn't.
Right.
But,
Yeah, Higgins is a really good value.
yeah.
I mean, you got sniped if that's what you truly wanted there.
Oh yeah.
Not high on Judy either, but I'm not high on the Broncos offense really.
I'm really high on Judy just based on the route running and him being that outlet for Teddy Bridgewater. I feel like it'll be and it's a PPR league, and I feel like he will try to be that chain mover. Him and Noah Fant will be that chain mover for for Bridgewater. So I wasn't hating the pick at 7.5. Again, I'm going for more volume plays right there. I don't think he's gonna blow up and have like 3 touchdowns, but I feel like a solid stat line of 7 receptions for 95 yards or 8 receptions for 110 yards, that kind of stat line is what I'm aiming for with the Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, in the 7th round for me, I decided to address my quarterback. All the other top tier quarterbacks were taken off the board, in my opinion. Obviously, Dak is a top tier quarterback when fully healthy. So I decided in the 7th round, when everybody already has a solid quarterback, minus 2 teams. 2 teams didn't have a quarterback at the time, which ended up being Jalen Hurts and Tom Brady. I decided to take Dak Prescott, who was going to lead the league in passing if he stayed healthy, without question.
How do you feel about his shoulder and like arm situation right now?
I feel like I'll be picking up Derek Carr if he's not going to play.
He'll start week 1, but you have options out there on the
waivers. Yeah. In this league, Joe Burrow made it to the
waivers
and
yeah.
Baker Mayfield, right?
Kirk Cousins.
No,
I mean,
Kirk Cousins.
He's just he's throwing to a Justin Jefferson. If you like Justin Jefferson and you like Adam Thielen a bit, there's a guy throwing to him. So I know he throws picks. I'm just saying he's out there on waivers. When in dual quarterback leagues, you definitely have to take him. Or Superflex, you definitely have to take him. Jameis in the 14th round as a starter for the Saints, crazy value. Matt Stafford at the 14-3, crazy value. But both those teams already have QBs. So I was looking at that and I was like, it's not horrible, but like if you had just done what you did and skipped out on a Justin Herbert, which the 6.4 is a great value, I don't blame you, but you skip out on Justin Herbert and stack he still ended up getting Trey Sermon anyway. I don't know who he would go with instead, now that I'm looking at it. Another receiver, but he addressed receiver early. Fair play. Can't even say anything. Nice pick. Any team in particular you look at and you're like, dang, they really made some big boo-boos along the way?
Matt's team, I didn't like that he picked the second quarterback so early. If he had drafted a second quarterback towards that back 3 rounds, especially with you see the value that's left.
Yeah.
Like I said, Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, all these are very viable fantasy options. The fact that he drafted an unproven product in the 10th round when you could get like a Will Fuller or someone to bolster your positional depth. I mean, I would have went and did it. And then he had the turn in on the 11-1. He got Goddard, which is also pointless because he's never going to play for you unless Darren Waller gets hurt. And at the end of the day, like
Zach Ertz still on the roster.
Zach Ertz is still on the roster. Plus, I mean, for my bye week, I'm going to be targeting Zach Ertz, he's on the waiver. Austin Hooper on the waiver. Johnny Smith on the waiver. Evan Ingram. These are all 1 week viable,
Players.
like, use tight ends. Like, I'm gonna easily just waive one of my back end picks, probably like Philip Lindsay or David Johnson, whoever ends up with that starting job. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But I'm definitely not rostering a second quarterback or a second tight end unless I have to.
I understand that. I will say 110. It's Mitch, right?
Yes.
His draft, he went so 0 RB. I think Chris Carson will have the volume. Javonte Williams hasn't straight up won the position yet. Miles Gaskin's a smaller running back as well, who also has to compete with a Malcolm Brown who's been getting touches in preseason. And then I look at his wide receiving core, and he has A.J. Brown, yes, who's dealing with a knee thing already. Tyler Lockett is boomer bust in my opinion. And then you go from there. OBJ off injury could be a good value. Claypool in the 9-10 is a great value. Corey Davis is one of the later round wide receivers that's going to have a ton of volume. I like Darnell Mooney as a breakout. But I feel like he's betting a lot on Mahomes and Kelsey carrying the team. And I never want to put all my eggs in a basket, especially with 2 players on the same team. And even though the Chiefs are what we said they are, in terms of just 3 top-rated offensive weapons, all potential to be number 1 at their position, to fade running back for so long and then not even target like a reach for like a Trey Sermon early, or a guy who like has more of a solid opportunity to get meaningful touches in a backfield that's split. I was a little bit puzzled by it. I loved Rob's draft a lot. It's a lot of. I feel like mine would look very similar if I was in that position. I think a lot of the teams are balanced, which is good. Also, of course, we have things that we like and don't like, but there's not really a team that sticks out to me where I was like, "Whoa, it's horrible." There were things that I probably would have done differently, but then again, I didn't even follow my own strategy to the way I want to necessarily because I don't like the 1-5. So it was a struggle for me drafting from this position, honestly. But I think I made it work.
Yeah, I agree. This year, people drafted a lot better than last year. It was obviously a different format. Last year we drafted 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This year we're doing 1. So I believe people were more savvy to doing their research, and Matt in particular had a really, really good draft compared to last year. Because he was one of those like really heavy on the quarterback position early on, and it didn't really pay out for him long term.
Yeah. He had high scoring at that position, and then everything else faltered pretty severely. One thing I brought up in my first 5-round live draft video is Nick. Nick has a punishment in place that if he doesn't complete it, his second round pick just is supposed to be unusable for the entire league, which I'm still a little bit like harsh on. Like, don't take the player completely out of the pool. But if this happens and he doesn't do the punishment, Tyreek Hill is just removed. That's a big player for him to lose. That affects his team severely. So that'll be something to watch. I feel like he will do the punishment, which is the fitness account. But if he doesn't, his team goes to being Aaron Jones and then straight into Josh Jacobs, which that was a pick that I hated that pick at 3-4. I feel like there's too much to deal with in that backfield. He did end up getting Kenyon Drake, which is solid for him, but he's going to have a headache, I feel like, not even halfway through the season, trying to figure out who to play. And then the next running back he's betting on is who? Mostert, which, again, we don't expect to score that highly. And then you're looking at, like, Hines and Williams. I don't think he's going to be a viable starting, like, RB2 for you. If he was a flex play, I'm all about it. But you're going to have headaches with Drake and Josh Jacobs, and then you're literally just banking on Aaron Jones, and it's not really a solid RB2 for you. If he's able to keep Tyreek Hill, that production is going to be very high. He has Allen Robinson and Mike Evans. It's a lot of scoring. T. Higgins, very solid. Juju, not too big on, but at the 9-4, I don't hate it. Miko Hardman, your favorite breakout candidate. He got him in the 11th round.
Yeah, I was
Solid
pretty
play.
pissed about that.
Yeah,
I was
but
at work, so I couldn't like really pay attention to exactly what was going on. So
yeah,
I thought I was looking for him in the 12th round. I was like, "Where is he?" And I obviously not there.
yeah,
So
gone. But I feel like
I'll
if
finesse
any
the way.
injury hits that roster running back wise, he's gonna be like scattered looking for a replacement. And in terms of running back depth, I like what Rob did. I feel like he protected his Harris investment by getting Ramondre Stevenson in the 15th round. Very, very savvy pick. Um,
Yeah, he got that from another league.
yeah.
Yeah, he didn't even know who he was.
Really? I've
He's like,
been.
"Do you know who this is?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know exactly who that is."
It's smart guy to
And
stack on your
I
roster.
told him what we thought about it.
Yeah.
But
Johnny Ambers. If Barkley doesn't get the volume, you look at the rest of the options. I feel like if James Conner stays healthy, Chase Edmonds is going to be in for some trouble. And then past that, what is he looking at? You know, you don't want to be dealing with half of Barkley, and then that struggle could be there. But I feel like his running back depth is a little bit iffy. Kevin did a very good job of having Trey Sermon, who I feel like will get a bulk of touches. Montgomery's going to have a lot of volume. Nick Chubb is Nick Chubb. And then Melvin Gordon for at least the first 3 to 4 weeks should still be getting RB1 type of touches in Denver. If not, he'll get moved. And shoot, he might end up on the Ravens if Gus doesn't look good. Which, to look at that roster, because he waited, he went ahead and stacked up on some late round running backs as well. Sony Michel's a very savvy pick. Zach Moss at the 10-8. I don't hate it. Mike Davis at the 6-8. I prefer that to taking a Darrell Henderson who slipped to the 6-9. I feel like there's a lot of savvy moves here. But I think it's no question that my running back depth is the best in the league.
well, when you spend your first 4 rounds on it, I would hope so.
I would hope so too. But I mean, I could have picked the wrong guys. Like that's
Yeah, but we say it all the time. Outside of like the top 4 running backs, all the other ones are roughly going to be in the first 3 rounds going to be the same. The
yeah,
only bad running back pick in the first 3 rounds was Josh Jacobs.
I
So
agree. And it depends where you take guys. Like if this league wasn't savvy, like if you're in a lot of family leagues, Barkley still goes in the top five. But this league savvy and understands like, oh, it might take a while for him to be same old Saquon. So he slipped to the 2-3, which brilliant value right there. I feel like everybody kind of drafted smart according to ADP and adjusted the ADP themselves. So it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. Let's pivot into week one, which, lo and behold, it's like it was meant to be. Week one, we have. Let me back out. I'm here tapping buttons all loud. Me and you match up for week one.
they're
Immediate matchup for week one. It's Team Automatic against Team Congrats Cade. we
if you guys don't know, Cade's going to win this league.
He's gonna be 2-time champ, on the belt, all of that. So we look at the rosters. Of course, I don't have a kicker and a defense because I follow the strategy of try to stack guys with potential before the season starts and keep them on that roster until right up to the last moment, and then pick up your defense and kicker before the first game. Otto actually decided to take the Patriots defense and Matt Prater. What made you decide to fill those positions instead of doing what like we usually do in redraft leagues, which is stack potential and then wait till the first game?
So in particular, I wanted Matt Prater in specific, and I didn't want anybody else to take him because last year, I believe, other than the Dolphins, the Cardinals kicked the second most field goals.
Yes.
Maybe it was the year before that. They had a lot of red zone issues last year, and they kicked a lot of field goals. And Matt Prater is money, and I know Matt Prater can hit from 60.
UCF zone.
So that's cool. And then for the Patriots, I was looking ahead at their schedule. I can't look at it here.
But they play Tua, who you're not really
Oh.
high on.
Yeah, they played Tua week 1, so that was a team I would like for my defense to go against,
Yeah.
the Dolphins. Let me pull it up on ESPN because it's
They
probably
played the
easier to look
Jets
at.
also, which I mean, you're a big Zach Wilson guy, but that offense
Big
should
Zach
be
Wilson guy, but
on
it's a
fire.
road game, isn't it? Or no,
They play him
that's
twice,
a road
don't
game
they?
for the Patriots.
Or just once?
I'm sorry, what?
They play him twice, right? Or just once?
Oh, yeah, they play him twice. It's
Okay,
a
I was gonna
division
say,
game.
yeah, that's what I was saying. I thought they played him twice. So they played Miami twice. They played the Jets twice.
They play Jameis and then they play the Bucks. So I'll probably be picking up a defense. Um, week 4
Yeah,
is when I'll probably switch out the defense. But the Patriots, like we said in the podcast, they got a lot of their defensive pieces back. They even upgraded from other teams as well.
yeah.
So I expect that defense to be back and running as good as it was. Minus the slight setback of Gilmore being out for 5 weeks. That kind of stinks, but I'm not really too worried about the Dolphins wide receiver 1, the Jets wide receiver 1, or the Saints wide receiver 1. So that really doesn't make a difference to me. Yeah.
My tactic, which I abide by, even in Dynasty, if these positions are included in Dynasty, is you try to pick up the guys with the opportunity to gain value before the season starts. So instead of drafting a defense, I draft Ty Johnson, who looked really good in preseason, and there were rumors that it's potential he could have snuck the running back 1 position right out of Tevin Coleman's hands. Right now, it's still saying Tevin Coleman's the number 1 guy, but if something happens in the next week and a half to 2 weeks, Tevin Johnson's stock goes up. I said Tevin. I mean Ty Johnson's stock goes up. And the other pick I had back there, I'm pretty sure was Rondell Moore. I'm pretty sure it was Rondell Moore or Jamison Crowder. Rondell Moore or Jamison Crowder. Either way, Jamison Crowder is a target monster. You see he's projected 14.13 in this league because of how many targets he gets. I think that's a very savvy pick. And Rondell Moore, I feel like, is going to be a utility player very much like Elijah Moore for Arizona. And if, like, say, an A.J. Green goes down before the season starts, or you hear Chase Edmonds gets hurt, Rondell Moore's stock's going to go up. Kind of like Laviska's stock went up after a guy like Travis Etienne went down. So I try to stack potential on the team, and I don't stack what I would say positions that I could stream, like Otto said, because even though he drafted the Patriots, he plans to switch him out in week 4. I look at the starting lineups for week 1, and I already have a defense that I'm targeting for week 1 based on who they play, and I have a kicker that I might settle down with all year based on how I feel like the offense will run. So that's just my strategy when it comes to stuff like that. It does look really bad on paper when you see Otto's projected to beat me by 25 points, but when the games actually come around, that gap will narrow because I'll actually fill those positions out. So that's how I see that.
No, my team is just 20 points better.
Yeah,
Don't let them all kid you.
Yeah, for sure. Close out the video though. What are your projections? We look at the league. I clicked to week 7. I clicked from standings and went to playoff bracket, and it has us both making the playoffs as of now. I know that doesn't mean much, but
Where do you see that?
when you go to standings and it shows everybody's like standings in the league, if you click the little like 3-box thing, it shows your playoff bracket. You'll see it in the video, but it has Mitch getting a bye week, you facing Kevin, Rob getting a bye week, and me facing Johnny in the playoffs. So it's projecting both of us to make the playoffs, which, you know, anything can happen in fantasy. But what is your early predictions of what you think will happen in this league? I know you're going to make a ton of moves, which this will be one of the leagues we probably update you guys on probably every 2 weeks, maybe every week, to show you like what happened, breakdown wise, scoring, who had a good game, who made moves, who made trades, who we're targeting on waivers. We'll have to put it out a little bit delayed though, so our league mates don't get a heads up on what we're doing, but we'll give you guys updates as the weeks go on. But any predictions based on what you see right now?
I predict Cade to win it all.
Of course. Congrats, Cade. I mean, I said it already.
Yeah, this what's it called? This prediction thing of this playoff standings has Cade in the losers bracket. That's just not going to happen.
There's no way he's in the losers bracket.
Cade is a winner.
But on a more serious note, I feel like we're in for a very competitive year based on how people drafted this year. I guess this is one of the benefits of having single QB. Is there's a potential for a ton of offensive player shootouts because it won't be as hinged on how well our quarterbacks do. Um, so yeah, I
And
think it'll
this
be
just in,
exciting.
Joe Burrow is not on the waivers anymore.
Oh, you didn't see that? Yeah, he made it to waivers, but
Yeah.
he was switched out for McKissick. Um,
I'm about to pick up McKissick.
yeah, that's good for whoever has Gibson. I feel like McKissick is a very good flex play as well in this league. His projections aren't too bad. Let's check that out real quick to close the video out. It is taking a minute to load, my boy. But I think when I was
It
checking it
doesn't
out,
around 8 points a game.
yeah, which is solid for if things come down to it, a very solid flex play if you waited too long to address that position. But yeah, before this season officially starts, we'll get into where we're at, what we expect from our teams in this league. We'll revisit that four more important leagues that we said we're going to combine the win-loss records for our bet. We'll see whose team's looking in what shape in all those leagues. Probably rank our teams 1 through 8 in those leagues. And get on board with some more DFS. Get on board with some DFS content because that league's about to start going crazy too with our DFS stuff that we do year to year. So, any closing thoughts?
No closing thoughts. Just that Kate's gonna win it all.
Ah, man. Well, on that note,
All right, y'all boys.